Hey, folks. Blah. Jesus Christ. Welcome to Death by Podcast, episode 89, the world's best horror movie, sci-fi, whatever else podcast that you'll ever listen to. I'm your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Kevin.
What was it? M-Boy? It sounded like you said M-Boy.
Kevin.
Folks, we've been on a little hiatus. We apologize for that. It's been an eventful few weeks. Kevin, happy 40th birthday, officially.
Thank you, man.
So Kevin had a happy 40th in many ways, and then he went off to Vegas by himself.
Yeah,
which is just blows my mind. It's bizarre. And we're going to talk about that. But then when he came back, he infected his whole family with the flu, or half his family, and they're doing, as far as I know, everybody's doing all right, right?
Yeah.
Stable?
So far we're okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a crazy few weeks, and we've had to just take some time to recuperate. Right there we go.
Yeah.
But you went. This just blows my mind. Usually when people go to Vegas, it's two people in a car, or like it's a bunch of friends that convene. You went by yourself to Shit Fest or something.
Skank Fest is what it's called. Yeah.
So perfect for Vegas too. Comedy. Tell me about Skank Fest.
It's not, the Skank Fest is not what it sounds like. It's it's a stand-up comedy festival. And it's the best one in the world. It's awesome.
Why?
And,
what makes it the best?
It just the way it's set up. One, the lineup is insane. The lineup is nuts. And the other thing is that, like, most stand-up comedy festivals are not really festivals. They're just a bunch of stand-up shows over the course of like 2 weeks or like a week in the same city that they call a festival.
Yeah.
Like, where it'll be like, it's not, like there's a Montreal comedy festival that's a real festival, but like even that, I've never been to that, but that seems to be a little more serious, a little more industry. This is a party. Like, this is all it is. It's a giant party. It's blown up pretty big, but like they've kept it at about 3,000 people for the last few years because they want to keep it small, and they want to keep it like where you could just walk up to people and bullshit with. Like, I met Pauly Shore and was able to just bullshit with him in the hallway for 25 minutes.
Seriously, you talked to Pauly Shore for 25 minutes?
Dude, he was so cool. He couldn't have been...
he didn't you didn't drive him crazy or anything?
No, he was so
Jesus
cool, man.
Christ.
It was not. You know what, man? Like, I was asking him about his old comedy out. Like, one of the funniest things I ever heard when I was a kid was he had a comedy CD.
Yeah.
But like when he was at like the top, when he was huge.
Encino Man, like that level.
Yeah, like before Encino Man, he had a comedy CD.
Right.
And I think it was just him doing stand-up. I think there might have been some sketches on there. I don't remember. But I used to listen to a lot as a kid. And I brought that up, and I brought up a couple specific bits from that. And then we're talking about, just get to talking, man. And he couldn't have been cooler.
Was it just the two of you?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sorry. I would expect that if you spent 10 minutes with anybody, that you, by the end of it, you're officially like friends. So did you get his number and you're going to hang out?
No, I mean, I took a selfie and I was like, and then he was putting on a one-man show later that night. And I went to that, which was cool.
Was he like, Kevin, my new friend Kevin?
No, man, because I'm sure there were a dozen other people that did the same thing, and just went up to him and fucking bullshit with him. I mean, and he wasn't the only. I mean, there were tons of comedians I was able to just, and people too. Like, that was the other. I made a bunch of like friends where it was, everybody's there, everybody's on drugs. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And
don't do drugs.
What?
I said don't do drugs.
No, absolutely not. But
tell me more about Pauly Shore. Did you talk about Encino Man?
Yeah, a little bit. It was kind of like,
did you talk about Weezy the Juice Man? Tell me you.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I brought up. Yeah, it was. What do we even say about that? It was mostly
like, when's the last time you wheezed the juice, man?
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that?
He said that a bunch. like because people yell that out to him and shit. People
no
yell.
more wheezing the juice.
But yeah, we mostly talked about like the early comedy stuff, and then like and the MTV Beach House,
Yeah,
and we talked a little bit about Son-in-Law.
I haven't seen that. I need to see that.
Oh, dude, Son-in-Law is a classic.
Yeah.
Son-in-Law, I would say, out of all of his movies, I like all of his movies. I used to love Pauly Shore. I would say Son-in-Law is the most real movie. You know,
real. Okay.
Well, like Biodome is, it's a movie, but it's stupid. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's, I mean, and
I'd
Son-in-Law
say Encino Man is the most real.
Yeah, but it's about but it's about a caveman that, you know, and I wouldn't even necessarily classify that as a Pauly Shore movie.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's the third lead.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't remember anything Sean Astin says in that. You remember
but
Brendan Fraser acting like a caveman, but you remember Pauly Shore.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his lines and how his character, he's fucking awesome in that movie.
Yeah, he's great. He steals the movie for sure.
And he's kind of a tough guy. Remember how he talks shit to like DeLuise?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's great. Encino Man's great, but I would say Son-in-Law is a real movie. Son-in-Law is like, you should watch it. It's great.
Encino Man's a real movie.
I love it. But yeah, it was cool, man.
Man, I'm jealous that you got to meet him.
Yeah, I'll send you the picture. I took a
send it. Cool. I'll put it on the
he was cool as he's a guy, if anybody ever meets him in real life, as long as you're like as long as you're cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I could have talked to him for another 20 minutes, man. He was fucking.
That also blows my mind because you I've seen you fanboy out before with people, and you saying you didn't do that.
No, man. You know what? It was cool. I didn't.
You're on drugs, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that was a big thing. But I was just like, I was able to just be like, Paulie, man, what's up? I'm like, that fucking comedy album you put out way back in the day that I forget the name of it right now.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was listening to it all day. I brought like there's the dog door bit, all this stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, man. And then he picked it up, and then it was great, man. He's cool.
That's cool.
But I mean, also like he's one of 100 comedians there.
What were some other names that I recognized that were there?
That you would recognize? Ron White was there. Dr. Drew was there. I got a picture of Dr. Drew.
Dr. Drew, like
like him and Adam
MTV doctor or whatever.
Yeah, him and Adam were supposed to be there, and Adam blew it off at the last second. So Drew was there, and Drew was awesome. But yeah, I got to talk to him for like 2 minutes in an elevator. Yeah. Let's see who else was there. That you would know was Bill Burr. Well, you don't really follow stand-up comedy, right?
I mean, I know guys. I know Bill Burr. I know David Cross. I know
sure
Seinfeld. He does some.
Yeah, those guys weren't there.
Jay Leno there?
Jay Leno wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's also kind of a depravity festival too. Like it is.
I bet Louis C.K. was there.
Actually, Louis was not there, but when Louis got canceled and he disappeared for like 2.5 years,
right?
The first public appearance he made was at Skank. He surprised everybody at Skankfest. He showed up and did 20 minutes. He like no one knew he was going to be there. He showed up, did 20 minutes at Skankfest. Like that's the kind of festival this is.
All right.
And people lost their fucking minds.
It's crazy. You know? It's like it's just crazy. I don't know. It sounds like something you wouldn't want to go. You wouldn't want to have in Las Vegas. You know,
it's almost kind of perfect.
Well, way too much beef. You know,
well, the thing is about it is like
food.
The last show every night is at midnight, and then I mean the after party starts at 1 a.m. You know, so it's just like it's kind of.
When do you sleep?
You know what? I didn't sleep a ton, but I wasn't tired. Like it was nice. Like it was.
You're on drugs.
Yeah, I don't know. It was the first night wasn't great for me. The second night, the second day was one of the best shows of my life, or the best. Like from the time I got there to the end was unreal. Zach Amico, who he's not a well-known comedian, but he works for Troma. Yeah. He's got a great horror podcast called Zach Amico's Midnight Spook Show. Are
you saying Zach and Miko or Zach Amico?
Zach Amico is the name of the guy.
Okay.
I got to meet him. I went to, he recorded his podcast. Violent J from the Insane Clown Posse showed up.
No way.
Yeah. And like, he was on mushrooms and like they were doing ketamine shit on stage. It was awesome.
Jesus. That reminds me. Clowncore is coming to town. Did you know that?
Really? Where are they
Yeah.
playing?
I don't know, but one of my neighbors is like into that, and they were like Clowncore. I was like Clowncore. I talked to their manager. His name's Business Clown. Like
That's hilarious.
when we tried to get him on the show, I'm gonna try again.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but oh, what was I gonna say? No, so Violet J, he's doing, they're watching this. So the Spook Show is basically a commentary track. It's this guy, and he brings on a bunch of comedians, and they play a movie, and then they do commentary for it. That's the show. And they brought on Violent J, and Violent J was all fucked up already. He'd been taking mushrooms all day.
Bile of J or Violent J?
Violent J. Violent J is one half of the Insane Clown Posse.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So he was on. Guys? Yeah, it's only two guys.
What? That's not a posse. No. Two guys? A posse is literally three guys or more.
I don't know. That's the name of their group.
What? Two guys are a posse?
So, yeah. But yeah, it was odd. Like he's up there. He's all fucked up. They start talking about ketamine. He's like, I never tried it before. They all start doing that on stage. And then
weird.
At one point, he's like, I've been doing mushrooms all day. He's like, does anybody have any mushrooms? And like everybody in the crowd was like, yup.
Jesus Christ.
And then he was just like, cool. Someone on stage actually had him. That's and like up. And just gave him to him, and fucking there's everybody was.
I don't do any of that stuff, but I would never take like that, like mushrooms from a stranger. Like, what if they have shit on them, like literal shit or something? I don't know.
I
mean, I would think that that's a thing that happens.
I mean, you would see it, That I mean, it's the same as anything. I mean,
yeah, all right,
but you'd see it and or smell it, but it's but anyway, yeah, it was an incredible weekend.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I reckon if you like stand-up comedy, it's the best. It's the best.
Did you hang out with Mike Tyson?
No, didn't do Mike Tyson. I'm trying to think of who, like I said, Ron White showed up. Dr. Drew.
Yeah. That's all right. I get the you drew a nice picture, so I get it.
It was incredible, man. And like everybody there is as into stand-up comedy as I was. So like, you could like literally just walk up to anybody who's standing in line or just hanging out, and you immediately have a lot in common,
That's cool.
So yeah, cool.
Glad you had a good time.
It was a great time, man.
And I'm glad you could say that after coming home and making your whole family sick.
Well, yeah. Then I came home, and I came home for a day, and then the next day I was hit with the flu and was out of commission for 5 days. I was just bedridden. I mean, I never get sick. I've never been sick like this. And I was
barfing, like barfing.
No barfing. It was just incredibly weak, and it was awful.
Poo water? Do you have the poo water thing going on? Like it comes out the other end.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. But yeah,
you had to be dehydrated at some point.
I was. I mean, I didn't eat. I didn't eat for like 4 days.
Yeah,
it was awful, man. But then I finally came out of it like yesterday. Yesterday was the first day where I felt completely normal.
Yeah. All right. We're lucky to have you here then.
So yeah, that's been happy
for you, man. Dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Sounds like an insane clown posse.
It was, there's definitely a lot of stories I can't tell on here, but
we'll have to document them in some way for the like Patreon or something. All right, we got a bunch to talk about. You said you had some news.
Oh yeah. So this isn't technically news, but I wanted to mention it because
all right,
I feel kind of conflicted and kind of I did. Okay, so Exorcist Believer came out.
Oh yeah,
on Friday.
Is that in theaters or streaming anywhere?
In theaters, it's not streaming anywhere. Okay.
This is David Gordon Green, the ruiner of Halloween.
David Gordon Green, written by Danny McBride. And man, I didn't see it, and I was like, I've been real curious, and like, should I do it? I'm like, I know it's not gonna be good. At least maybe if I see it, maybe it'll be fun to like mock, you know what I mean? Like at least even though like the Halloween movies were
pumpkin
awful,
pies tonight.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun to make fun of.
Sure. Tell me it bombed.
It did. It made $27 million. So right. Which and granted, they cost them 25 to make, so it's making money, but it's not. They had already greenlit a trilogy.
Jesus
They
Christ.
were expecting this to make a shitload of money, and it didn't. So I don't know what's going to happen.
I'm gonna have to look at the numbers compared to what his Halloween did, like comparatively.
His Halloween might have. I mean, his Halloween made all three of them made a shitload of money.
Right. That's how he got this.
Yeah, but this, from everything I've read about it, it's bad. Like
Yeah.
it's. I want to see it just to see if it's as bad. Not if it's as bad. Like how far. Like a lot of it is like it's not even like a Catholic thing. Well, don't even get started. Like it sounds like they like it's not even necessarily like Catholicism. It's not like it's where it like they bring in all the other religions like to do it. And
well, you should go see it. I won't go see it, but you should go see it before you.
Yeah, maybe you're right, but it
know.
sounds awful. It sounds embarrassing.
I'm glad you brought this up, and I didn't know that you were going to bring this up. I saw David Gordon Green on Joe Bob Briggs' Last Drive-In. He was on it live 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and he was a really cool guy, man. And which makes me feel bad. We talked so much shit about his trilogy. It sucked, like we didn't like it. I'll stand by that. But he was a really cool guy, and he knew his stuff, and he talked.
I bet he does.
He talked about other things that I was like, oh, okay, street cred. But it just, why are you doing this? Where it's like, here's a thing that everybody loves, and I'm going to put my own twist on it, which is fine. People do that. But when he does it and says like, almost like it's almost like he literally says, this is better than what you know. And it's like, no, tell us it's different. Tell us it's your thing. Don't say it's better.
It's just,
so
talk about making original. Tell you what, man, the guy knows what he's doing. He made these indie dramas that were amazing. And then he met up with fucking Seth Rogen and James Franco, and he started making these like awful comedies. Like like The Sitter and Your Highness and Pineapple Express is pretty good.
Yeah,
but like
I was gonna say,
besides that,
the rest of them are trash.
Man, it just these unwatchable pieces of shit. And then he starts doing these horror movies, and it's like, dude, like you're very like you know how to hold, like the movies look good.
Yeah,
you know where to put a camera.
Right.
Like write something and
do something original. I would love to see him do an original horror movie, like an original horror movie.
I would love to see that. I mean, or even like, I watched The Righteous Gemstones, which he directs a bunch of those, and that show's pretty good.
Sure.
It's just, I don't know what that guy's doing, man.
What else you got?
Well, the reason I brought up, have you heard about this Garbage Pail Kids show?
What? No.
Yeah. So HBO Max, apparently they greenlit it a while back, but and it was kind of shelved, and now it's like back, like rolling.
Okay.
Garbage Pail Kids animated TV show on HBO Max.
Interesting.
Guess who's developing it?
David Gordon Green
and Danny McBride.
Oh my god. Well, you know what though? Those guys, that might be the perfect IP for them to do.
Well, yeah, because there's nothing to, you know what I mean? There's nothing to,
but also
it's almost an original property.
Yeah.
No one's going to be like, Scary Larry would never do that. Like, there's not going to be, or whatever. There's not
sure. But also, fuck Danny McBride. Why does he get everything? Him and Seth Rogen. Why do they get everything?
Well, I mean, I like them both. I like Danny McBride as a dramatic actor. I wish he would do that more.
Yeah, in that Alien movie, he was really
he's
good.
Great in Alien. He's in David Gordon Green's like Gindies, and he's very good. I wish he would do that more. And like his shtick gets old, but like works, his
comedy shtick gets old, big time.
It's it's fine. It doesn't get old enough to be like to break the project. You know what I mean? Like I said, Gemstones is good. The Vice Principals was good. Eastbound and Down was great. But
so basically, you love everything he does.
I mean, I don't hate Danny McBride. He's not a deterrent for me. And
the only thing with Garbage Pail Kids, it's one of my top 3 all-time favorite 80s properties, or whatever you want to call it. Just because of the cards, only because of the cards. It had a cartoon back in the day, which is fine. It's garbage. The movie, I've never been able to watch all the way through, but I want to. but it's
We
terrifying.
should do the
Well,
movie,
yeah,
man.
we will. But there, you can ruin it because there is a charm to Garbage Pail Kids cards and the aesthetic, and there's also stuff we've built up in our brains over the years because there hasn't been anything. So I don't want to see them do like a Winnie the Pooh murders everybody bullshit with it, or I guess it's a cartoon,
Sure.
so but they could. It's HBO Max, so who knows where they could take it. But that's interesting, man. What
Yeah.
does that have to do? Oh yeah, David Gordon Green.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
What
Yeah.
else?
That's really all the news. There's been a few. Yeah, I felt bad because we weren't doing The Exorcist, but
Yeah.
I can't. I don't. It's like fool me once, man. Like I'm not doing it.
Trademark. Fool me once. You gotta get this trademark.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah. Is you Toxic Avenger? I know we were gonna
Oh
talk.
yeah.
Was there news
So
with it?
yeah, I forgot about that. We right before we recorded, we watched the teaser that got released last week for the movie.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it?
I had seen it before we watched it right before this, so it was probably while you were gone out of town or
Yeah.
with the whores or who knows what. But I'm excited. I don't know. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
it.
Every shot of it, except for the one shot that, like the shadowy shot of the Toxic Avenger where you don't see him where he's in the shadow.
Right.
Like that looks like it's out of a different movie.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like that looks like it's out of a Marvel movie. The rest of this, I
Yeah.
really like that it's really brightly lit.
Yeah.
Like it looks like the scene that they show is like the diner scene.
Yep.
From the original. It looks
The punks.
like.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks like
I don't love the CGI blood. I mean, but I guess that's just movies
but
now.
For this,
you know?
it kind of fits because it looks like a trauma movie, even though it's not. But I think that fits because the whole aesthetic of this movie is going to be fake and rubbery and obviously like so far fetched. So why not the blood also be that? I feel like if it had more realistic effects, it wouldn't fall into that, aesthetic of Toxic Avenger where like it was so homemade, those everything about it, and it was all just like, but it fit that world. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks promising. Like, to be honest, like it just
for what it is. Sure.
Yeah.
And it's got a cast that like I didn't know half that cast was in there. Bacon.
Yeah,
Defoe.
Kevin Bacon. I didn't see Willem Dafoe. I didn't know that.
I think he's in it. Am I pulling that out?
They flash like the all the names real fast. So I think
Willem Dafoe's in it. Elijah Wood. What's his name? Charlie Smallman. What's his name?
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. Apologies. Him as the Toxic Avenger. That works. I think it'll work. Because I was talking about it with somebody yesterday where we were talking about this, and it was like part of the thing that works so well with Toxic Avenger is that because of when it was set in the 80s, and you had a lot of like bullying was like a theme in a lot of 80s movies, and you had this scrawny little guy that turns into this giant superhero. They're going to go the opposite way. So I'm guessing his human form, I hope it's not Peter Dinklage. I hope it's a regular sized man that shrinks into the Toxic Avenger played by Peter Dinklage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be, I don't know.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah, still no release date. It did premiere at Fantastic Fest. I've been avoiding the reviews.
Sweet.
If it's gonna do well anywhere, it's gonna do well there. They eat that shit up.
Yeah. All right. This week is X, by the way. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
And our main movie is X-Ray, aka Hospital Massacre. So we're gonna get into that. We had a couple what'd you watches before we get into that. Oh, one thing in the Toxic Avenger trailer that I loved, somebody yells out, "He looks like a fucked up hot dog."
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You know what I hope is that, because there's a bunch of those where it's like he looked like this, he looked and I hope that he actually looks gross. Not the thing that annoys me the most about the Deadpool movies is everybody acts like Ryan Reynolds is like the most disgusting thing they've ever seen.
Right.
And he's really not that bad.
No, he's not.
He looks like, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. He's just like he's got some burns and things.
No, they really should have hamburger headed up.
Yeah.
Dead. I mean, I know they want you to know it's still Ryan Reynolds, but
right.
They really should have. That's my biggest criticism of the Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
Is that he's not,
Yeah.
He's not as deformed as he should be.
Yeah. A couple announcements before we get into our What'd You Watches. Folks, you're going to hear this episode. We're going to release this episode on what will be Wednesday. You should be listening to this on Wednesday. Friday, following Friday the 13th, we're going to be releasing a special Jason versus Freddy little review talk to celebrate Friday the 13th. Or we won't if we don't get to it. So, but that's the plan anyway. If for some reason it doesn't happen and Kevin gets a relapse of his flu or whatever happens, we will do that movie in the near future. But we're planning for a release of that on Friday the 13th. Maybe it's too ambitious. Maybe it's not. Also, the Patreon, if you want to support the podcast, we just recorded an awesome episode of TNG, is what I'm told I should just say. But Kevin, Star Trek: The Next Generation, season 4, episode 17. It's called Night Terrors. It was pretty spooky, but it was a really good episode. And we talked about it over on the Patreon, patreon.com/deathbypodcast. What else? I guess that's it. Did you have a What'd You Watch other than X?
Not really. I did, and I literally didn't watch anything when I was sick, and can't remember what I watched before that. So
that's crazy because that's usually what you do when you're sick. But all right. So we had a What'd You Watch. We planned it because X is a hard letter, and honestly, our letters are getting tougher every season. We're running out of B horror movies that are pre-2005 history of violence on VHS because there's certain letters that just don't want to work with us. So I think maybe our next show for letter Y might be an example of the direction we're going to have to take. But X is tough, surprisingly. So we decided to do X-Ray, which I've been wanting to watch for a while, but team it up with X, the movie X with Mia Goth. Came out last year, I think. So we're going to talk about that real quick. Last night, back to back, I had them on Last House on the Left and The Strangers. A couple of
the original,
the newer, the current ones, I guess.
Okay.
I had never watched them all the way through, and I had never watched them back to back. A couple of solid movies.
I've never seen the new Last House on the Left. I think The Strangers. I don't think that's a remake. I think that's an original. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman.
Yeah, I know people really love that one.
It's good, man. It's a solid movie. Last House on the Left, though, written by John Carpenter or based on one of his stories, and starring, I can never remember the woman's name, but also Tony Goldwyn, Ghost.
Okay.
Ghost villain.
Okay.
Really good movie. And because it was cool to see dickheads do a bad thing, they shoot their daughter and rape her, and then that wasn't good to see. But I'm saying the parents then take their revenge on these guys. And the times we live in now, crime is not punished. And it was cool to see people just not that I'm saying you shouldn't go out there and vigilante and street justice, but it was cool to see a movie where it's these two parents just go, we're going to go fuck these guys up. And they do. They kill them all. And it's good. That's what these guys were the worst. So that was an interesting take that you don't really see a lot. Did you know that Tony Goldwyn, I'm pretty sure, is a heir to the MGM, Metro Goldwyn Mayer MGM?
I did not know that.
He's the Goldwyn. It's
no
weird.
Shit.
Yeah, it's weird. I think that's why he's kind of gone to producing instead of acting now. So anyway, X. I feel like the Joker when I say that. What'd you think about this? You'd never seen it, right?
I had not seen it. I was gonna watch it last year. I've almost threw this on a few times. I've been interested in directed by Ty West.
Yep.
I
Innkeepers.
He started off. Yeah, he started off with the mumblecore independent film guys. I think he's from Chicago. A bunch of, I want to say he's from Chicago, but a bunch of small indie guys kind of were kind of a big deal in the early 2000s. And yeah, he's been making some good stuff, man.
He does. I mean, his stuff is it's good. Innkeepers, and what was the other one that was pretty decent? I forget.
He's in Your Next.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
That's another one that's all a bunch of Chicago indie guys.
Yeah,
he
makes stuff that's you watch it and you're yeah, that was good, and he's very subtle, which this movie was not. But it's weird. this movie is interchangeable with Pearl as far as the order that you watch them in. I've
Did you see
realized
Pearl?
no, and I'm not sure if I'm interested in seeing Pearl.
I am and I'm not. I assume I know what it's going to be about.
X is the current time movie, happens today, but there's a character in this movie named Pearl. She's the old woman, played also by Mia Goth. And then there's a movie called Pearl where Mia Goth plays the younger version of her. So you kind of get the backstory of this old woman who is like used to be a dancer and stuff.
I didn't realize that Mia Goth played the old lady too.
Yep.
Wow, that's something.
It's
well,
weird.
I knew that it was a person in old people makeup.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it was her.
And also
I just wanted to real quick when you're saying this one takes place modern time. This one takes place in 1979.
Okay. Well, I meant like the newest anyway.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to.
Did you? So Pearl is the old lady. Did you realize who the old man is?
No. Who is the old man?
So let's see. I'm trying to find his name. His name is Stephen Uri.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, so he plays 3 of the most prominent orcs in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. And if you look at his face, or if you like Google him or whatever, you'll totally recognize the orcs that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest one. He's one that like starts a fight in the 3rd movie.
Yeah, I know
exactly. He's also one of the one who chases them into the woods and wants to eat them.
Yeah.
And Treebeard or somebody steps on him.
Yeah.
And then he's a 3rd one. So anyway, I thought I recognized him when we were watching it, but
I would never guess that was him.
Isn't that weird? I was like, I know this guy, and I looked him up, but yeah, this movie it's filthy. It's like Texas Chainsaw filthy, you know. So if you like that kind of thing, it's in there, and it's just about a porn crew filming a porn movie in they rented like this old man's extra house, and the old man and his wife are fucking nuts and disgusting and gross and fucked up. And just like, that's one of my most terrifying things that gets under my skin is old people being fucking gross. It's like, I don't want to see old people having sex. I don't want to see old people lurking in the shadows. I don't want to see old people fucking stabbing anything, you know. It's just like drinking lemonade. Get the fuck out of here. That shit just creeps me out. Team that, you know, bundle that with this group of like fucking idiots that think they're gonna win Oscars for making porn. It's like, Jesus Christ. I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot to think about in this movie, and it's a good, like, I think it's a departure for Ty West because it's just a straight up like kill 'em movie, you know.
Yeah, it's a slasher. It's
it's kind of a slasher movie, but also the thing that took me out of it that is hard to separate is like the scene where she kills, I guess, the first guy in front of the car who, like, you know, the nerd or whatever, and she kills
the cameraman.
him. Yeah, the cameraman. She kills him, and then she does this like sort of dancey thing, and it's all like heady, and you're supposed to get
it
into
becomes an A24 movie all of a sudden.
Get that shit out of here. It's
which it is an A24 movie, by the way.
It is.
So
you know what also is an A24 is a movie, Talk to the Hand or whatever it's called. You told me it wasn't. It's on the fucking poster.
Here's the thing. It is not, but it
says A24 on the poster.
It might be, but it's not in the initial like credits. Like that's why I didn't think it was. Like when they're saying like like where they tell you which production like houses it is in the beginning.
Yeah. It does though.
It does.
That's where I got it from. Yeah.
It's not.
And then it says it on the poster. Anyway, the floaty thing where it's like, all right, let's get, you know, heady about this. Nah, man, she's just wicked and psycho, and she stabbed this guy.
Yeah.
All right, so it's just like that would have been good enough as like a slasher movie, but when you try to put that stuff in, it just, I don't care.
You know, I thought the same thing when that happened, when it got like, you know, it reminded me of Mandy, where it was like, all right, we're gonna dwell in this vibe for a while.
With
like
Mandy, it's different. Mandy was like, did you not like Mandy?
I did, but Mandy was a lot.
It was, yeah. I liked, but just Nicolas Cage alone.
That scene's the only one where it does that, where it becomes kind of an A24 movie. like the rest of it was I don't know. I really liked this movie a
I
lot.
knew
I
you
really,
would. I
really
knew
loved
you would.
it.
Filthy, filthy, filthy. Go back to your skank fest, you. No.
Well,
Uh,
everybody did feel like all the characters felt rounded out.
yeah.
They had you kind of they all felt real. They all felt fleshed out, and everybody had
Yeah.
their nobody did anything where it was like that really like you know
Yeah. It's
and
I'm not
yeah
my
the old
distaste
lady
for it. My distaste for it is literally that. It's a distaste.
yeah
I can acknowledge that it's a good like it's a solid like slasher. I don't know if you call this a slasher movie. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I mean she slowly
Because the husband's also in there, like
yeah he kills a few of them
kills the
too.
black guy, he
Um,
kills it's a solid movie. And if you like this kind of vibe, aesthetic, cool. But it's
yeah.
definitely like I don't go for that trashy
You
stuff
know what? It takes a
or whatever you
lot of
want to call it.
time in the beginning establishing like the vibe and like in hindsight, there's a lot of stuff where it didn't feel like they're setting something up, but like I don't know, it's a lot of vibe in the beginning.
Yeah.
And like when they're driving past the cow that's like inside out and
Yeah.
like a lot they stop in a fucking gas station and stuff just like every other movie, and it's like wait, does that happen in this movie?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
And
they
like
stop and they're
and
talking
all
about
that, I guess it's there to like just get fill these characters out a little bit, but really I mean you could have trimmed 20 minutes off this, but it was good. I really enjoyed it, man.
I also wasn't into like Jenna Ortega is in this, who I really like.
Yeah,
Wednesday Adams.
yeah,
And this is the first time I've ever seen her in like a movie. She was also in Six Cream, right?
yeah, and
Um,
Five Cream. Yeah,
was she in both?
yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. But this, Scream is a different
yeah,
animal. This is the first time I've ever seen her in something that was like I would let. The only thing I can think of saying is adult, which is weird, but
hmm
she does. I didn't like her character because she's a kid. I didn't like her character deciding to participate in the porn.
sure,
I was like, man, I really wanted her to be the redeemable character, I guess, because they're all
yeah.
shitheads. And then immediately she's like, oh no, do you think I upset my boyfriend by filming porn in front of him? You fucking idiot. Are you serious?
Well,
So,
okay, hang on.
threw everything out.
Here's what I'll say about that scene.
Yeah.
One, one of the things I
I sound
really
like a prude. That's not what I'm trying to come
no.
across.
But one of the things I really did like about it, before we get to that scene,
Mhm.
what especially with her character, I really like. So most slasher movies or most horror movies, you kind of once they show you, okay, here's the cast. If there's kind of a main girl or kind of a main character, you kind of know they're going to make it to the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, or if there's, like Jamie Lee Curtis, she's clearly the main person in Halloween. You know what I mean? So she's going to make it to the end. If anybody's going to make it to the end, it's going to be her. She's not going to die 20 minutes in. It's going to be one of her girlfriends that is less in the movie,
Right.
which is fine. But like, what I liked about this is it kind of jumped around. Like they open it up and that Mia Goth is like talking to herself in the mirror and you're like, okay, she's the main chick.
Right.
And they show everybody else. And then, but then the morality thing kind of comes in and yeah, like Jenna Ortega is kind of a, more wholesome, not
Sure.
wholesome, but
Yeah,
she's more innocent. She's more innocent than the other ones. And you're like, oh, maybe it's okay. It's her then. She's going to be the, because
Sure.
and you really don't know because the other one kind of doesn't do anything for a while.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so maybe she's the main chick now. And it really leaves you guessing. I really didn't know who was going to live. Yeah, I really didn't know who was going to make it. I really like the whole thing about her boyfriend. Her boyfriend is like auteur, like filmmaker guy who is like, no, you can make an artsy, dirty movie. I mean, it's like the plot of Boogie Nights,
Yeah.
But what I love is that like he's pitching her that shit like the whole time, and she's helping him. She's like holding the boom mic and stuff,
Right.
And she's like, why? Like originally, she's like, why are you doing this? Like, you want to be a filmmaker? You're shooting this smut, and he's like, no, and he pitches it as this like, this artsy thing, and then basically sells her too hard on it,
Yeah.
To the point where she's like, I want to be in the movie. If
Yeah.
it's this artsy thing and everybody wants, like if there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing, wrong with it, then why can't I be in the movie?
Right.
You know,
Right.
and it's just like
Which
it's
is
kind
which then like causes her character to like kind of succumb to that, the scream trope of
yeah, it
of
basically
horror
is
movie
like,
rules. Like she just had sex, so
yeah, kind of, yeah. And
she's gonna die.
and the way she goes out is pretty great too.
Yeah.
Uh
There are some excellent kills in this movie, I'll tell you.
there's excellent. I think every single kill is excellent.
Yeah.
With the Alan, I wouldn't say
Except for the black dude.
yeah, even him I liked.
It
I
was
mean,
just like
even
they didn't even show it though. It was
yeah,
like,
they didn't show it. There's two kind of off-screen deaths
yeah.
that kind of annoyed me, and I kind of that was the other thing is like they spent so long like kind of establishing like all the characters that like I mean it's over halfway over before they start killing all of them.
Sure.
And then when they do, it's almost like they're playing catch up. Like then they start really, but it didn't feel that way. It didn't feel like, oh, we got to do this now. It still felt it moved. It had a good it had a good pace, and it knocked everybody out. But it was like, okay, well now we're just gonna one after the other, basically.
Right.
Got knocked out, and
I mean, that's literally yeah. The couple, you realize that the couple is just two halves of Leatherface, basically, and
yeah, basically,
and they just go around doing that when they're not having old person sex. Just
well, and the other thing was cool that I know it's gross and it's like whatever, but it kind of gave her, the old lady. I don't know how old she was supposed to be, but she's like 100 years old. She's so old that it's like she's like rotting from the inside. But like,
she's still able to like wield a pitchfork and all that shit.
Well, really, I mean, if you think about it, she stabbed the one guy in the neck,
right.
Which really wouldn't take that much, and then she pushed the one girl into the lake to get eaten by an alligator.
That was a cool scene,
and that was great. That was the other really cool thing that like they really did a lot of great setup and payoff in this. Like, like that the first time you see that alligator when the girl's swimming. Yeah. That was a great shot. There's a lot of really great, like
great shot.
Overhead shots. But that one where she's swimming and she doesn't know it's there, and it's kind of like, oh, and yeah, they really Chekhov gun that alligator because it's like, oh, okay. But then okay, we still get to see someone getting hit by an alligator, like
yeah.
That was really great too.
He's a solid director. And that's what I've loved about his previous movies.
Yeah, I've never seen The Innkeepers, but I'm gonna watch it.
Innkeepers is good, and there's another one that is on the Innkeepers, and there's an '80s movie that I can't remember what it's called, but it's like set in the '80s.
House of the Devil.
What is it?
Is it House of the Devil?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's
I've heard that's excellent.
It's good. I don't know about excellent, but Innkeepers and House of the Devil are like his two big ones that drew me in. He did a couple others that I don't know, they're hit or miss. But you have his playlist right there.
Yeah.
What else? Name a couple others.
The movie called Them. In 2021.
Them is about rats, I think. What else?
I'm not sure. It's an Amazon original. Tales from the Loop, which I think is like one of those movies or one of those things where I think it's like a show, and I think it's yeah.
I feel like there's another one, another movie that fell a little short, but I can't remember. Or maybe it was one of these. Maybe it was X and Pearl, but I don't know. What's your take on Mia Goth?
I like her. I mean, she's good. The old lady was very like me. It was a little distracting that it was clearly
right
somebody in old people makeup, but
you wanted a real 100-year-old woman.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It reminds me of you ever see Prometheus? Yeah. I remember when.
Oh yeah, in
like,
old makeup?
What's his name? LA Confidential. Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce. Yeah. He's awesome.
Like the scene where he's like an old man, and the whole I'm like, okay, well there's probably gonna be a flashback or something, or like where they show old like young,
but it's not.
They don't. It's like, why wouldn't you just cast an old man? Like there's plenty of old men. Like what? Why would you? It's so.
I think
dumb.
Specifically for him, I think that's something in his contract. He does these old gross man roles and doesn't get credited. He doesn't take credit. He's not listed in the movie.
But like, I mean, it's such a weird choice.
The Road,
like
same thing.
Is he an old man in that?
At
And
the end, yeah.
oh
Like
yeah, he isn't.
he's like an
He didn't
old,
get credit for that.
gross, but like weird survivor guy. I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense to me that like I mean in this I get that like she's got to kind of do she doesn't have to do stunts. I mean, cast an old lady.
Well, the reason they did that is because of the Pearl thing, I think, because she's going to
They
play
made
her.
them back to back, right?
Yeah. And I don't know what the release date or the releases were on these, but they really are. When you look at, without having seen Pearl, just looking at this movie, you can tell like they're interchangeable. Which one do you watch first? The one about the old lady or the one with the old lady and then go back to it or whatever? You know, it's like, I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
watch Pearl. I've heard Pearl's really good too. So
I'm
you
not
know,
interested. I don't think.
yeah. I mean, I'm interested.
And I didn't hate this movie because of the movie. I just don't like this. You know,
Yeah, it's. I mean,
I'm not a big Texas Chainsaw fan, and
it's
this
a
is
gross movie. It's a filthy,
yeah,
dirty movie.
yeah.
Like,
And there's again, it's like I was talking. I don't know who I was talking with, but horror today. People ask me all the time about the podcast, and I'm like, yeah, you know, most of it that we do is like 80s sort of B movies, and the reason that I love talking about those is because there's an element of fun that's paired with the horror. And I feel like horror today, everybody's just out to out gross each other or whatever. Horror today has gotten so sinister that it's like they're trying to one up each other on that level. There's no element of fun anymore. And I think the worst way that you do that is you take out any sort of redeemable character. And so many movies today don't have those new horror, you know. It's all
sure.
just a bunch of shit bags that you don't care about, no matter how fleshed out they are. And I feel like that's a big disservice to movies, even though that era
Yeah.
is gone. That era of, I understand that was an 80s thing. 80s started the Final Girl, or maybe the 60s with Alfred Hitchcock and Psycho started the Final Girl. Maybe not. The 80s definitely like made it what it is. That era is gone. I get it. But the new era shouldn't be just to be like, how sinister can we be? How fucked up can we be? I'm sick of that. You know,
Sure.
Midsummer, sick of that. You know, all that fucking just. Ugh.
Well, that's not my issue with Midsummer, but yeah, like I know what you mean. But it's, I don't know. Like to me, yeah, I know what you mean that this wasn't fun. I thought what there were parts that were fun. I thought the characters were compelling enough that I was like, I could, like
it's just it's just a matter of taste. And
yeah.
I can acknowledge this is a good movie. It was a good movie, like, but not for me.
I thought everybody, all the actors were really great. I thought the blonde girl was really excellent. I thought the black guy is Kid Cudi.
Who's he?
He's a rapper.
That dude's a rapper?
I don't know if he's a rapper or music. Yeah, I mean, I guess you consider him a rapper. I mean, musician, I'd say.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
that. Really?
Yeah.
His name is Kid Cudi.
Yep.
Or is that his?
It's very popular.
His code name. That's his code name.
Yeah, I don't think it's his birth name.
But like in the credits of this movie, is that what it says?
Yeah, it's Kid Cudi. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Good for you, buddy. Good for you.
No, but I thought he was really good. I really liked his. You know what I really liked too? I really liked his whole thing with the Marines.
Yeah.
That like in a lesser movie, like him deciding to go into the woods with the old man would have been like, what the why the fuck would you? But if everything felt very natural, like
he's a Marine.
Everybody wound up, everybody like nothing in this felt forced, you know?
Sure.
Which I liked a lot.
Did you notice the scene where he is deciding to go into the woods with the old man and he's standing in the doorway naked?
Yeah.
And his dick is between his, like, you can see it. You can see how long.
Yeah.
Like they made sure that you see how long it is.
Yeah.
In the shadow. It's just like the shadow of it is ridiculous.
It was, I mean, it was an awesome shot. It was, I mean, he might have been one of my favorite parts, man. I really liked how, he didn't say much, but he was fleshed out enough that like, I was in Vietnam. He knows this guy's also a Marine. So they have this like bond, even though not bond, but they have this like mutual respect almost.
Right. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And they didn't go, it was like I thought, that the obvious thing was like, oh, the old man is going to be racist and whatever. And they didn't go there. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I did. I liked the beginning. They show the cops at the house being like, what the fuck do we make of this? And then like the other bookend, like after the end, they just go back to the cops.
Right.
And the cops are still just like, Like, there's nothing new. The cops are still like, I'm fucking stumped. This is fucking nuts.
I was actually expecting more because the cops' reaction at the beginning, and then they 24 hours, then they cut to 24 hours earlier. Right. I was like, oh man, whatever that cop's looking at is gonna be super messed up. And it was just like the dude that was strapped up there. I don't know. That was weird. Yeah, whatever. Let me know if you watch Pearl. Maybe I'll watch it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll throw. I mean, yeah.
I would say definitely watch Innkeepers and House of the Devil or whatever that's called.
Okay.
Those are definitely worth a watch. You got anything else on this?
No, I thought it was really, really good.
Cool. I'm glad you liked something finally. No, I'm kidding. All right, man. Here's what everybody tuned in for. X-Ray. I don't know. I couldn't find anything on other than maybe it was the international whatever release name, but why it seems to be more searchable, or that it was supposed to be called Hospital Massacre, but all the posters are X-Ray. So I don't know. I didn't find anything on that as far as why they went that way.
Well, it says and it says, or I'm sorry, it says Hospital Massacre on the copy we watched too.
Right.
I wonder a lot of times, like it might have been. I mean, it could have been in theaters as Hospital Massacre, and then when they put it out in, who knows? They might have changed the name
right
when they released it to get
X-Ray, because X-Ray sounds cooler. I don't know.
There might have been a trick. Who knows? Yeah.
So this guy, a little background on this one. So it's produced by your buddy Yoram Globus. I mean, we laugh, but this dude, do you know who I'm talking about? Like we've done movies with this guy before. This dude produced over 300 movies in his career.
I remember this guy. Yeah.
Like everything Chuck Norris ever did. Lots of Van Damme early stuff. Death Wish. That's all that. He did almost every Toby Hooper movie. Yeah, he's big. He's huge. It was shot in an abandoned hospital, like a real abandoned hospital. Yoram Globus was a big Cannon guy. I'm surprised you don't remember him from the documentary, the Cannon doc. Wasn't it a Cannon documentary?
Yeah, Electric Boogaloo.
You don't remember Yoram Globus? He had to
not by name. I mean, but
really,
it's been a while since
like the most unique name in history.
Well, just like
stars Barbi Benton. So this is a Playmate, Playboy chick. Also a big star on Hee Haw. But dude, the way I know Barbi Benton, which I know that sounds crazy, but my dad took us, my brother and I, to this movie back when we were kids. I was probably, I think the movie came out in 83. So I was probably 6 or 7. Sword and Sandal movie called Deathstalker.
I know Deathstalker. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So very much like a Conan
Beastmaster. Rip-off. I think they covered Deathstalker on Red Letter Media on Best of the Worst.
Did they? I'd really like to rewatch it. I haven't seen it since my dad took us, but I remember sitting there watching it, and it's just like Conan ripoff, but it's got a scene in there where like whoever the hero guy is, the Conan guy, like kind of pins Barbi Benton against a tree and like bangs her, I guess. And I remember my dad feeling I could feel his uncomfortableness.
I'll bet.
Like radiating off as his 6-year-old and probably 3-year-old or 7 and 3-year-old kids, two sons are sitting with him. And I remember afterwards, he's like, "Don't tell your mom that we saw this." I was just like, damn, but I couldn't remember the name of the movie until we watched this. And I looked up Barbi Benton and I was like, that's it. Deathstalker.
Yeah, I think you should watch the Red Letter Media episode where they watch it. It's pretty good.
I will. They just did
there's like 4 Deathstalkers.
4 movies, really?
I think there's at least 3. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know who the lead is? He's not. I don't know. Whatever.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, Barbi Benton's in this. She's not a bad. She's not a great actress, but she's not a bad lead.
No, I thought she's good in this.
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah.
The movie in general. Did you like it?
Yeah, I love it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I don't know why. Why did you? So it's. I really thought you would have hated this movie. It's just like she goes in for a checkup into a hospital, and turns out
she's not even there for a checkup. She's picking up paperwork for.
Yeah, that's right. And somehow this old childhood friend who was a
Well,
psycho.
that's the big spoiler is hang on.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. All right. So,
So the movie opens
when she was a kid.
with, well, they don't even establish that. They just say you just see these two kids playing, and then this creepy kid is in the window, and he sends the girl a Valentine,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, it's from his name. Oh my god, Harold.
Harry.
It's from
Harry.
Harold.
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 Yeah.
And they're like, oh, and they rip it up and they throw it away, and this kid get like, you see him all mad, and then the next scene, yeah, like one of the kids is like murdered and
Hanging from a coat rack.
yeah, and then it's
Impaled.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
it's just, and then you see this kid and he smiles, and then it's just the girl screams, and then it just says 19 years later, and it's Barbi Benton at this hospital being like,
Yeah.
I gotta go pick up some paperwork, and it's like, okay, well, that was something, but whatever. there's no like that's
Right.
there's no establishing like that's her grown up. There's no, it's just here's a little short film about a little child murderer, and then here's our movie. But and then like it's so much of the, like at the end, like when they show who the killer is, when they show
Right.
that it's him, I was like, usually when they put this way, when movies spell things out for you like they do in the when he pulls off the mask and she says like, that's it, he goes by Harry, he's in the movie and he's going by Harry,
Right.
and he's a nice doctor the whole time.
Right.
I didn't think of it. I didn't think
twice.
Harry
I
Harold.
didn't think twice.
And
right.
then at the end they like flash back to the kid, and I was like, oh yeah, and they show
Creepy
the kid. But usually I'm like annoyed with that, being like, hey, movie, like I'm smart enough to know what you're talking, because usually I hate when they spell it out, but this I definitely needed it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they did a really good job with him, I thought, because he, like the whole, somehow he fucks up her paperwork, and she ends up getting trapped in the hospital by the biggest dickheads in hospital history. Those two ladies that are like these thuggish,
yeah, I get talking about this,
and the doctors.
yeah,
And then and he ends up killing everyone that kind of like comes in contact with her, basically.
Yeah.
Some good kills, but she's also interacting with him as Harry, the doctor. So
yeah,
you don't realize, and I swear there's times where you could go, wait, he's over here killing someone, yet she's over here talking. I don't know. But so when you do get the reveal of that it's him, the nice doctor, it's like, oh shit. And you realize like how well he played that character, this dude.
yeah. Well, they
really
also
well
they set up like, you don't know who it's going to be, because
he's fucking nuts when he's wearing the mask. He's always throwing
he looks
tantrums.
great. I mean, and just a little thing like breathing, like and the surgical mask like going in and out.
Right.
It's super effective. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
He looks like a lunatic. He looks better than Dr. Giggles did. Like, this is a better movie than Dr. Giggles for sure. I really I liked everything about, like, first of all, this plan. The whole time you're like intrigued with like this plan that he's got, because it seems like a very well thought out.
It's big time plotted.
Yeah, like she goes in and she just has to go see this doctor, Dr. Jacobs, right? And just to pick up her paperwork. This guy comes in, he kills Dr. Jacobs like immediately, and then just like stuffs her in a locker.
Yeah.
And like and then I love that he has to keep, like, anytime somebody finds Dr. Jacobs, he has to kill that person too.
Right.
And just like whatever.
But that's the genius of the plan, is that none of these doctors can legitimately get the paperwork, Dr. Jacobs' paperwork, to give to her without Dr. Jacobs' permission. But she's dead.
And then he replaces it. So she has to keep like getting other doctors and whatever. And what I loved about it, like, was like, yeah, you had this psychotic doctor running around, and it was great. But like, you also had like all the doctors being, I don't know, you ever deal with like a hospital staff that's just like over it? It sucks. And I understand like that this is their everyday thing. It's like when you have a lawyer who's like late to shit or like what, and you're like, hey man, like this is I'm the lawyer's doing this shit every day, so he's not worried about it. Or like a better example is a real estate, or like when you're like, when I bought my house, like Lindsay was calling the bank guy every day, being like, "What's going on? Like, did this go through? Like, what?" And he's like, "I got it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it." And you're
Like,
like,
no,
this is the most
tell
money
me.
I've spent on anything ever.
Right. Tell me.
And they're like, "Don't worry about it. It'll go. Maybe, I don't know. It's a couple days late. It happens." And you're like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And they're like, shit, fucking relax. And it drives you crazy.
Yeah.
And that's like hospital staffs like that, where it's like they've seen it all and they deal with everything every day. Like, and you're usually there on, you don't want to be there. And it's just, and hospital.
On top of it though, the charts that he switched hers with are like belong to somebody who is really fucked up. And we don't really get the details on that, but for some reason the whole staff is like, oh shit, don't let this lady leave, to the point where they treat her like a insane person and tie her down. But those two ladies, man, those two nurses and that doctor who are constantly like grabbing her and chaining her up and slapping her around, it's like, you guys, somebody needs to fucking kick their asses. And
it's the 70s though, man.
Jesus Christ, man.
70s. You ever see
one that was really
nest?
Yeah, but that's she's dealing with a bunch of fucking nut
yeah,
jobs.
But people used to beat the shit out of everybody. You just like that used to be how you handled stuff. Like people were beating up teachers, are beating up kids. Like that's just how you dealt with an unruly. Absolutely, this happened in hospitals all the time.
Really, you think this is how it was?
Yeah, like in the 70s.
That's hilarious. But these two were like, it was just every time they were in the scene, like the one dude looks like Dr. Oz, and these two.
And he's such a prick, and he's
oh
just
my god.
I love when he comes in. He's like, "Yeah, you can't leave. We need you to stay for some tests." She's like, "Is it serious?" And he's like, "No." She's like, "You could tell me, is it serious?" And he goes,
"Maybe."
Yeah, maybe. Then he just walks out and leaves. Or he goes, "Yeah, it could be," and then just leaves, turn around, and leave.
Yeah.
And then like,
meanwhile, he's got every doctor like, he's like, "Come over here and look at this shit, man."
Yeah, exactly. Every other doctor in the hospital,
the other doctor's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, like, but that's such a like it's not out of character. Like that's probably a big dick doctor move. Like, like you probably can't be like, "Hey, this is wild."
Yeah,
Jesus but
Christ. And even still, she's the fucking patient. Tell her what's going on.
Well, I mean, and she's a hot chick, so she probably doesn't get any, respect and whatever.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing was like between him and his build, and then her husband. The other thing, she's got a kid and an ex-husband that the whole time, like, are suspects. Like you're like, well, okay, I'm watching like, well, who is this guy? And I'm like, and they make a point to be where the husband leaves the little girl for a while.
Yeah.
To make you think, well, is it him? Like, is he doing this shit?
Yeah.
It was really great. And
yeah,
there
were a lot of good red herrings. Did you notice like how long these scenes were? A lot of the scenes where it would be like, it had to have been intentional, where like the camera would, like, for instance, the scene with the head in the box, right? The boyfriend, or who was that? The husband? I forget.
That was a boyfriend.
So somebody comes in, gives her a present box, opens it up, there's the head. But to get to that point, it's like, here's a present. Oh, okay, thanks. Unwrap it, head. But to get to that point, the camera goes like, it's like slowly pans across the bed, pans across the table, pans up. Oh, there's the box, pans up the box. Like, there were so many shots like that. And it got to the point where I would pause it and see what time it was for a scene to start, and then pause it again. It would be like a 3-minute shot of just following somebody through a dark room.
Yeah.
Nothing was happening.
I wonder how much of that was A, to establish mood, and B, to like pad the runtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, cause it's 90 on the dot.
Yeah.
Like, so
you could have easily cut like 20, 30 minutes out.
But a movie like this, I don't know if it, like, you could have made this 80 minutes, and I'm sure it still would have run in theaters. I don't know if the requirement is 90 minutes or what, or whatever, but it is like 90 minutes, like solid. Like, so
But say that, that given, like, it does build this, like, adds to the building of the suspense,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
also kind of takes away from it where you're like, okay, let's get there. Like,
Yeah. There is a
and
lot of like,
I've never noticed that in a movie to this extent,
but I really like whenever he kills somebody, it's just like, and the thing about, remember Dr. Googles, we were like, well, it's cool that here's the thing, like in a like Dr. Thing movie at first, usually you'd think, oh, you want to be like Dr. Googles where he's using doctor tools, like,
yeah.
or like Jack Frost, we want him doing snowman themed murder, like have him do something, just do something with it. But like this, I love that they don't at all.
Snowman murder.
I love that he just stabs the shit out of everybody. He's just got a big knife and he just stabs everybody.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And when he does, my favorite, I think, one was the first chick he killed, the Dr. Jacobs. He just like throws her in a locker and stabs the shit out of her, and they have all this blood just shoot out of the locker. It was so great. It was so great. It felt real, like I don't know, it felt, it's how I want a murder in a movie like this to be. Like I want it to be like,
dude, there was my favorite though is the nurse walking down the hall and
he chokes her.
Well, no, like way down the hall behind her. He comes up and he's holding the sheet up.
Oh, that nurse. Yeah.
And he's just like, so she's like halfway down the hall, and all of a sudden he turns a corner and he's holding a sheet up.
Yeah, like, like a ghost.
Like a ghost, but with his arms raised. He's not wearing it like Bob does. It's like up. And he just starts bolting down the hallway. And she's like looking back, like, what the fuck is that? Like I was terrified. Like, that's exactly what my response would be as well. But I've never seen anything like that. He's like hands out, like crucifixion style.
Yeah.
With the sheet. And he catches up to her, which is crazy. And then just wraps it around her, chokes her out.
Yep.
And it's like, that was such an intentionally thought out kill, like maneuver for this killer. It was so bizarre, but it was so like terrifying at the same time. Cause I guess she had nowhere to go. Everybody else was dead. She's yelling for help. It was crazy. That was crazy.
I mean, that's the other thing is that like, you get the sense that like, yeah, I mean, a hospital, while there are a lot of people, it's a lot of isolated people, like you could like the lady that's just, she's typing up reports and like, he just goes in and kills her and then types up a fake report, and like, that's what I love too, is that like, just his like commitment to just fucking with this lady.
Yeah.
He could at any
all
point,
because of a Valentine that she didn't.
Yeah. But he could murder Barbi Benton at any time. And instead he like wants to just inconvenience her like all day. Like have her just get annoyed and be like, like just keep replacing her paperwork with other paperwork. You know what I mean? Like, and he's murdering doctors and nurses the whole movie just to like extend her inconvenience. Because it's a while before they like think she's crazy and tie her down. Right. Like it's one thing, like and that seems to be like the end goal, so you can get her there. But like it goes on for a while where it's like, we don't have that file or like stuff like that. It's like,
well, I forget what his once he finally catches her and he's got her on the table, what was his end game? Like, what was he gonna do to her? Do we know? Like when he had her on the table at the end? I don't know. I can't remember.
Now that you know that the dickhead doctor wasn't the killer,
right?
What was up with that weird examination scene in the middle of the movie?
Yeah,
that basically led to nothing.
Yeah, the rapey scene, like
the rapey, like I mean, it established maybe it's more red herring stuff, but it's a good like 5-minute slow.
Yeah,
and there's other shit going on too.
That's what I was talking about with the length of these scenes. Yeah. I think though Barbi Benton, we mentioned, she came from like a Playboy background.
Yeah,
and I really think that one of the selling points for this movie was her. But not just her as an actress, her as a playmate. Yeah. And I think that scene was just like, here's what you guys came to see Barbi Benton do, is like be naked. And so they extended that scene a little too long. It was definitely creepy watching that.
Well, I mean, it was fine, like to yeah, like it didn't go anywhere. You know, it was just okay. Now the
Right.
exam's over. Like,
Right. But so he gets when he finally catches her though, the final chase and the fight scene. Do you notice that like, he gets fucked up, he gets electrocuted right at the
yeah.
end, and
Well,
he's on the
no,
ground.
he gets set on fire. I thought.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But she picks up this enormous pipe. Did you notice that? And just like
Mm,
whacks him with it. It's
no,
like
I
it's like
missed
the
that.
size of her. Somehow she like
Okay.
picks it up and just like whacks him with it. But once he finally gets killed, falls off the building, right?
Yeah.
And like really good fall, really good splat.
Yeah.
Uh and it cuts to her and she's on top of the building and she's like taking a breath. And then it's just hard cut. Boom. She's in a business suit walking out of the hospital.
Yeah.
like,
And
there's no
she sees
recovery
her
scene. There's
husband or
no,
her ex-husband
it's
and the
just like
daughter.
bang. She's like walking out with her business suit. And then they do my thing, man. They combined both. They did the credits over action happening,
Yeah.
like over that. And then after a certain amount of time, they paused it on the scene and the credits rolled,
Yeah, on the
continued to
building.
roll. Yeah, that was cool. I just wish it was in a different movie, but
Did you not like it? Would you not enjoy it?
no, I did. I really enjoyed it. It was
I
perfect.
was surprised. It was way better than I expected it to be.
It was. I agree. I was surprised the whole time. I was thinking, why don't more people talk about this movie?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same.
Pieces, Slumber Party
I've never seen
Massacre.
Pieces, but like, yeah, like
It's
some
it's
like,
right
I mean,
it's right in there with all that stuff.
Friday the 13th. It's the same.
Mm,
Friday the 13th is a little bit more like suspenseful. You don't know who it is. I mean, you don't know who it is, but like, yeah, it's not as good as the original Friday the 13th, but it is like it's in the same ballpark.
I don't. I mean, Friday the 13th is up there, but it's right in there with all those slasher movies that Slumber Party Massacre has the driller killer, and he's
Mhm.
just a dude running around
Yeah,
with a drill, and it's like there's no Jason character in this movie or that movie, but it's still a slasher movie. And Pieces is similar. There's a couple others, even like Happy Birthday to Me, which we did, this season, stuff like that. Like I put it right in there where it's like really good, overlooked. Somebody made a good horror slasher movie, killer movie, whatever.
yeah,
I'm just surprised that nobody talks about it.
yeah. Me too. It would just, I mean, I would never would have looked twice at it if it would, I didn't need an X movie.
Right, right. What about the three witches? The crazy ladies that are. I mean, they're three witches basically
Yeah, yeah.
running
But I
around the
mean,
hospital. And
there's
the
three.
hamburger man, dude. The guy in the elevator,
Oh, he was great.
awesome. Like such a
The like
weirdo.
the weird like mental
Somebody's
institution
drunk.
guy
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
just like, yeah, he was great.
It had all these weird like side
I
characters.
I expected him to die and he didn't. You
Right.
know,
Oh
like
yeah, I guess.
because he was just like morally like deplorable. Like every scene he's in, he's just being a fucking dirtbag.
Dude, the
You know,
scene when you meet him and he's in the elevator and he's just this dude leaning against the side and she looks at him and it's like, oh, I don't know, a
he's
drunk dude
sleeping or dead or
sleeping or
whatever.
whatever. But he's got like ketchup all over himself. And then when he
Well, they do
finally,
the fake out where it looks like death or not
right,
death, blood. Like there's like blood drip. There's
is
like
that
red
death?
stuff dripping on her shoe, and then they zoom out, and or they don't even zoom out. They just have the same shot, and he just lifts his hand.
And he's got this
he's got a hamburger covered in
burger.
ketchup. And
But
she's
it's
like, she
like
cleaned
it
that up.
wasn't just covered, man. It was just like ketchup everywhere, and he's just like got it on his mouth and whatever. That was hilarious.
I love that guy. And then like while they're doing the like really creepy exam scene, they pan out and he's just outside watching. And
Right.
then someone yells at him like, "Get the fuck out of here! I know what you're doing." And he goes, "Okay," and he turns around
He
and
comes
then just
back.
turns right back around. Or he goes and creeps out some other girl for like 5 seconds and then goes, I'm gonna watch this for a while. I think it's the last time you see him too.
Yeah.
And they no, they kept going back to him. So I expected him to get killed. I wonder if they just forgot to do it or
Forgot
if
to
they
kill
just cut it or I don't know. But
him.
he seems like he'd be a clear candidate to get killed in this movie. Everybody, the bald guy gets that weird death up through the neck.
Yeah.
Like all the nurses and
Yeah.
yeah, it was great. It was great. It was solid.
I'm really surprised you liked it. It's more. I feel like it's more in my ballpark.
Nah, I like when I say like I like violence. This is the kind of violence I like. Like it's like
Yeah. All right, man. What else you got? You good on that?
Yeah, I'm good on that one.
All right. Next week, letter Y. This is another tough one. I forgot that Y was so hard.
Y is tough, man. I looked for a long time, and
Yeah,
like
I did too.
anytime I did, like I found a couple ones like about like the Yakuza, but they're all like new,
Yeah.
you know, and or they're foreign, you know, and
Right.
it's like
Right.
so yeah, you suggested
Did we take a
that we take a break from horror.
little curveball?
Yeah, and the ones you sent me to you said you don't want to do Young Guns, which I'd be up for
I know
Young
you'd
Guns.
pick. I know you would pick.
Well, I
Young.
haven't seen Young Guns in a very,
Yeah.
very long time, and I would really like to
I
do
think
a rewatch anyway.
we're not. I mean, they're not going to all of a sudden turn up B horror movies from the '80s. In the future.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
Young
we could
Guns
do
will
it.
be there. We
But
just we
the
mentioned
two
it.
the two you sent me were Young Sherlock Holmes,
Yep.
and Young Einstein. So have you seen
Yahoo
either one of
series.
these?
I mean, when I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Young Einstein. So I
Yahoo
watched it.
series was like huge for some reason.
See, I had never heard of him
Really?
when I was a kid, and then when I was like in my early 20s, my roommate had grown up with Young Einstein, and
Okay.
I was like, "What do you think?" And like we watched it all the time.
Okay.
I mean, all the time. And so when you saw Young Einstein, I'm like, "Oh fuck, Young Einstein." Jesus, man, it's such a weird and stupid movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we liked it because we were idiots.
Right.
And Young Sherlock Holmes, I know, is produced by Steven Spielberg. I've heard of it.
You've never seen it?
No.
I mean, if you don't want to do Young Einstein, then let's do Young Sherlock Holmes.
You've never seen it either?
No, I've seen it when I was a kid.
Who's in it?
Dude, I don't know who the guy is, but I think it might be the main guy from House 2. You remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm probably totally wrong. I don't know. But it's from what I remember as a kid, I mean, dude, seriously, I haven't seen it since it came out. What was that, 1987 or something? I don't know. You want to do that?
Oh, it's Barry Levinson directed this? It's 85.
85. Let's do it. I mean, it's either that or Yahoo series. We already did Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, I guess let's try it. Let's go for Young Sherlock Holmes.
Young Sherlock Holmes. And I know it has elements of, it doesn't matter what it has, like it's like,
I mean, it's Barry Levinson. I mean, he's, he did Rain Man, you know.
One of our rules is not, it has to be horror. So we just started a horror podcast. So, but I think in the future, we're going to have to go this route because some of these letters, we're just going to run out of options,
Yeah.
But at least with letter Y, we've got all the Young movies. We've got Young Einstein, Young Sherlock Holmes,
Young Frankenstein,
Young Guns 1 and 2. So that's 4 seasons we've got covered for the letter Y.
The more we talk about Young Guns, I'm like, man, why the fuck I should watch Young Guns?
You can watch it because we probably won't do it on the show for at least a while.
Yeah,
but let's do Young Sherlock Holmes since you haven't seen it. Good.
Yeah, sure.
All right, letter Y next week.
I'll have to look this up. Yeah.
Before we get to that, so look forward to Friday the 13th show this Friday, which will be, by the time you're listening to this, 2 days. That'll be fun. Freddy versus Jason. Yeah. Or not. Maybe it won't happen, but that's the plan. Also, what else we have going on? Oh, we recorded a review of No One Will Save You. Yeah. So we're time jumping right now. So we recorded a separate review of No One Will Save You, new alien horror movie on Hulu, which we will be releasing next week, and look forward to that just as its own thing. And then all of that after the letter Y will be followed by Z, which will be our final episode of this season. And hopefully we'll have time to fit in a best of for Halloween.
Yeah.
A best of show.
Season,
like we did
the awards and everything else.
Yeah. For Halloween. So that's what the next few weeks look like for us going forward. If you guys, is that good? Kevin, are you satisfied?
Yeah. Well, that was a pretty solid, packed episode.
Yeah, it was. If you guys want to find us on social media, everywhere, Death by Podcast, Instagram, YouTube. I realized today that at some point I started a Facebook page for us, like probably 2 years ago or something. So that's out there. Maybe I'll work on that. If you want to support the show, if you like what you heard, spread the word. Tell people to listen to us, and support the Patreon. Patreon.com/Death Death by Podcast, where you will find our bonus mini podcast. FoodTube TV, we did TNG, Star Trek, Next Generation today. But we're going to continue with the spooky Halloween stuff until we get there. Simpsons, Treehouse of Horror. That's what I was trying to think.
Yeah, probably do one of those.
That'll be coming up next for next week. Folks, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. I'm your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Kevin.
It's Miller time.
Shut the fuck up.
Woo! Good. Folks, take care of yourselves. Don't get caught in a old person's house. Ugh. God damn, that's gross. See you guys.